Hello, everybody. This is Jyotsna Ramachandran here, founder of Author Success Academy and Happy Self Publishing. Welcome to Author Success Stories. In today's episode, we have a very, very special guest, and that is Prashant Handoo. Hi, Prashant. How are you doing?
I'm good. Hi, Jyotsna. How are you?
Fantastic. Thank you so much for agreeing to do this interview. So, for all of you who don't know Prashant, he is the best-selling author of this amazing book called Leading the Way. And Prashant is my business coach as well. He coached me for more than a year. And right now he has taken this new avatar as a business leadership coach. And I'm so, so happy that he's also an author now. So tell me, Prashant, how has the journey been of becoming an author?
Hi, Jyotsna. So, first of all, thank you so much for this opportunity of being on your show. As much as we have interacted a lot on personal level and had conversations about your business, I think this is a different platform altogether, right? So, it's very interesting and it's glad to see your progress of where you were and where you are now. So, I'm very happy for you that way.
Thank you
So,
so
thank you
much.
so much for this opportunity.
So great, Prashant. So tell me, when did that first idea or that seed got planted in your mind that you should write a book?
So, the first idea, the seed, to be very honest, when I knew that someday I will write a book was many years ago when I started reading books and I started getting influenced by books. So if you have had the opportunity of reading my book, there are two books that I specifically mentioned, which is Power of Subconscious Mind and The Alchemist. So these are the two books that I got introduced to by accident in a certain critical situation in my life where that book made a certain turnaround in my life and my life took a very different direction. Otherwise, I don't know where it would have gone. So that is when I understood the power of a book. Even though I was not an avid reader, even though I wasn't somebody who was following somebody or reading books on regular basis, by accident, when I picked these books, I saw the power of what it can do to a person and how an entire thought process or the way of taking action or thinking changes just because of few lines in the book. I did not read the entire book.
Full
At
book.
that age, I did not have the patience to do so, nor did I understand the complexity of those books at that point of time. But few lines just hit me in such a way that I changed the way I thought, I changed the way I acted. So that is when I knew the power of a book. So somewhere there was an aspiration in my mind that maybe someday I will have an impact on people the same way, may or may not be through a book, but I would also want to inspire people and probably help them get better at whatever or wherever they are stuck at. So I would say the seed was there.
Long
It
ago.
long ago. It was probably never nurtured. It was never given enough nutrients or water to come out, but it was latent there in the soil for a very long time. When I look back now, I knew that is where the seed was sown.
Yeah.
Now, coming to the nurturing part, I think that happened when I started attending the programs by Success Gyan. I met Jack Canfield, met John D. Martini, and since I was in the backend team, I had an opportunity to talk to these guys one to one for a few minutes. So that is where one thing that both of them said common was that what changed their life or what changed their approach or what allowed them to reach to a large number of people than just reaching out to a few number of people was writing a book. And then we also did Success Academy with boot camps with Success Gyan. That
Yeah.
gave me more and more exposure to what it is all about and how the entire process works. So to sum up the answer to your question, I think the seed was sown many years ago, but the nurturing happened once I started attending these training seminars and workshops.
Great, great. Thanks for sharing that, Prashant. See, I keep meeting a lot of people and mostly aspiring authors. So everybody wants to write, right? That seed has been sown at some point of time. Somebody would have inspired them. Some book would have really lit that fire. But you actually took that action and you've come up with such a fantastic book. So when did that action taking start?
The action taking specifically to writing this book, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so again, an interesting question. So about 3 years back, when I started attending a lot of Success Gyan seminars, and as I said, that is where the thought got nurtured. I
Right.
understood the mechanics of writing the book. I understood what goes behind writing a book. I understood what is the process of writing a book. that is where I thought that now I know how to write a book. And somewhere I had that confidence that, now I know it's a cakewalk. Everything is there. Like, I just have to decide when to start writing, when to finish writing and publish my book. So
Yeah.
with that high burst of energy in me of having figured out, it was like a eureka moment, right? I have figured out the secret of writing a book.
Yeah.
I made an announcement online that, I'm writing a book. This is going to be a title, and the book is going to come out on so and so date, which was November 2020. So I thought, I will do it. It's going to be a cakewalk. So I booked a time on my calendar that, okay, every day 11 to 12 in the morning, I'm going to sit and I'm going to write a book. So when I started that process, the very first day, I remember when I sat with a pen and a paper and I thought I will write it, because that's a traditional way of writing that we have been brought up with.
Yeah, correct.
I never thought that I will be able to do it on a laptop,
Yeah.
which is what happened later. But I started writing it with pen and paper,
Pen and
and I was
paper.
like, every day 10 pages. I will have a book ready in a couple of months, max to max. It will go through editing, everything. So best case or worst case scenario, in 6 months, I should have the book ready. Then it's up to me when I want to release it. I can take my own time to release it, but it will be ready. So I remember when I took that pen and paper and I started writing, thoughts started coming to my mind of, okay, Prashant, so what are you going to write about? What is it that you want to talk about? And I was
Yeah.
very clear that I want to talk about leadership, because that has been a burning topic for me for a very, very long time, because I have had some amazing leaders who have come into my life and shaped my life to be who I am today. I know the contribution they have done in my life to shape me up. And I have also nurtured and worked with a lot of youngsters and a lot of business leaders to shape them up to be the leaders that they should be. So I understand the power of leadership. It is that one to many approach where if I change 10 lives and there are 10 leaders, the ripple effect will be throughout their life and they'll be able to impact hundreds and thousands of people. So I have to work only
Right.
on 10 and the ripple effect will go on to thousands of people. So I was clear
Right.
that it has to be leadership because
So
that
the
is what I
topic
align
was
with.
clear, like the
The topic
overall,
was clear.
yeah,
Yeah. So the
because
topic was
it's
clear.
something that has helped you in your life, and you have also helped so many leaders. So you knew that that was your expertise, and that, as you said,
Yes.
that one to many is like a very powerful thing, right? Because you do it for one person, and their impact can be huge.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I know the power of it as I have seen it firsthand by experiencing it from my leaders and then passing it on to other leaders as well. So I have seen the impact of it. So there has to be a spiritual or a soulful alignment. You don't have an
Yeah.
answer to why, but this is what you align with, and it feels right doing that. There are 10 more things that I can do, and probably I will be good at it.
Yeah.
But this is where I feel connected. Work doesn't feel like work. This is where I'm
Yeah.
like, okay, awesome. It's been 4 hours. I'm on a coaching conversation, and I didn't
It
even
doesn't
realize
feel.
that it's been 4 hours. And otherwise, some conversations within 4 minutes, you're like, oh my god, it's just been 4 minutes. It seems like I've been talking for ages.
But here's the problem, Prashant. Like, your topic is something that is such a favorite topic for many people. And there are thousands, in fact, I would not even know how many books have been written on leadership. So, did it ever bother you? Should I write yet another book? There are already Jack Canfields and Dr. John DeMartini kind of people who've already covered those topics. So,
Yeah,
what
yeah.
makes me good enough? Did you ever have that imposter syndrome?
So it did happen, but not in the beginning of the journey. So I'll tell you how the beginning was. So I told you that I sat and I was like, okay, it's going to be leadership. This is what I'm going to write about. And I started putting my thoughts there. So I covered a page, I was happy. I covered two, I was happy. I covered three, I was happy. And then I suddenly realized that this is all that I have to say. There are 3 pages of thoughts that are there in my mind, and I don't know if I can go beyond this. And even if I expand each one of them, I will probably be able to push to say 5, 6, say 10 pages. What more than that? What can I do
Right.
about it? So
Right.
this is where this is where probably my mind or my thought process got split. One was my soulful alignment with what I have figured out I want to do in my life and take that journey. There was another part of me as a business coach that was questioning me, saying that, okay, who is your target audience? What are you looking to tell them? What are their problems that you're looking to solve through this book. So there was, that bifurcation in
Hmm.
my mind that I can't just be telling whatever I want to say. There has to be an alignment to it from a business point of view as well, because it has to be a value add to my audience as well.
Yeah.
Now I was stuck saying that, okay, boss, I have to become an author because I'm looking to reach out to n number of people, and doing videos online and a book writing. These are the two things that are the best ways to reach to many people. And this
Videos
is
and
like
book, right? Yeah.
videos and books, because this is
Hmm.
how your effort is one time, but it keeps replicating, and the ripple effect continues, and you don't even know where it is reaching, who is watching it, who is reading it. You
Right.
don't have control over it, and it can be way beyond after even I am dead. After
It's
100
like your
years somebody
legacy,
might
right?
be reading it, right? So
Yeah.
like today, when I read books of people who are there no more, or not just books, forget about that. Let me say, when I watch videos of songs that are in probably black and white, are in early color,
Hmm.
those people are not there anymore. Their kids are like in 60s, 70s now. But when I watch them, the happiness, the impact those songs have on me, or those movies have on me, or those books have on me, or those videos have on me. For example, Jim Rohn. I watched Jim
Hmm.
Rohn's video, which is ages ago. Somebody has edited it, beautified it, and put it in a way that we can see it in good quality today. But bloody, it moves you even today. Like, listen to it for 60 seconds and I'm on. I'm like,
Yeah. Totally
I'm
inspired.
totally inspired and in to take action. So I think that is the power that books and videos have. Now, as I said, there was a business coach inside me also, which was looking at it, that awareness of a business coach was looking at it from a business point of view, because it's also important to understand,
Hmm.
as much as there is a soulful alignment of a book to reach out to as many people as possible, which is great, amazing, and that should be the foundation.
Yeah.
There also has to be a business side to it if that is your desire. If it is not, great. But if it is, there also needs to be a clarity that becoming an author also brings in a lot of responsibility. It
Hmm.
also brings in a lot of credibility. It also puts you into a space where there are a lot of people who are looking up to you for solving their problems. So there is a responsibility and a credibility element also that you have to take care of. But there is also something inside you that tells you that, I need that tag of an author. I need to be called an author, because it's going to put me on that podium where I'm going to be looked at differently. So it will impact me in many ways, not just business.
Hmm.
So that constantly pushes you that, should I even care too much about what is in the book? Or should I just somehow figure out and do a 200, 300 page book and put it out there? Because if you go online and watch a lot of videos and read a lot of articles, there are a lot of people who say that 99% of people who pick up your book won't even read it. So that thought is in the mind somewhere, that, which corrupts you. It's like that, that
Yeah.
insect or that seed in your mind, which is constantly corrupting the whole process, which is actually very spiritual.
Yeah.
That, Prashant, don't care about what is in there. Just somehow figure out 200, 300 pages,
Yeah.
put something out there, at least get that tag of an author, and that's good enough, because 99% people are not going to read your book. So why are you bothered about the content of the book so much? So there was a time, Jyotsna, when that thought took over, because
Hmm.
I wanted to be an author and I wanted to put that credibility
Somehow
out
just put it
there.
out there. Yeah.
Somehow just put it out there, saying that, don't get too much into getting it right. Don't get too much into saying what is my message or what I want to say to the world, because that is only coming to 10 pages, Prashant. So let's be honest, how will you go to 300 pages? So keep that
Yeah.
10 pages aside and figure out how to write 200, 300 pages of book. So I spoke to a few people. I figured out, what is possible, what is not possible, what can be done. So one idea that was very common that came out was that, what you can do is, if you're not a writer, or if you're somebody who doesn't align with writing and you're stuck at like 10 pages, you have two options. One option is you can hire somebody who we call ghost writers or angel writers, as in your language.
Yeah.
You can hire people who have that skill set, alignment towards writing.
Hmm.
They can capture your ideas through a recording or writing or whatever, and they can shape it up. So that was one option, which sounded fine, which sounded great. And I was like, okay, this 10 pages can turn into 300 pages if I do that. Second option that came out was that, go online, do your research on Google, copy paste all the content that you can find there. Just blindly copy paste on a Word file, put it all there. And once you have 300, 400 pages of content copy pasted, is when you look at that content, see what you align with, see what aligns with what you are trying to say, or what you want to say. Put that content together, play with that content, curate that content, and you have your book ready. Because it still remains original, because you're not just copy pasting, you are playing with the copy pasted content,
Giving it
and
your own
you're
twist
giving
too.
your own twists, and and putting it together and sending it out there. So I thought, let me give it a try. Let me see what happens. There's nothing wrong with that. And if I have 200, 300 pages ready that way, I somehow want to be an author. So let's go for it.
Yeah.
So the entire honest approach to this whole writing process, the seed that I spoke about was there and it was nurtured. All that was put aside, and what took over was the reason for becoming an author from a business point of view, that it will become bring an element of credibility, and nobody is going to read it. That constantly was there.
Anyway,
99%
who's going
people
to read
don't
it?
read it, don't read it. So why am I so much bothered about what is in there? So somehow I let that element take over me, and I started working on putting content together. And before I realized, very soon, because I was so involved in it, I had that much content ready. I had maybe much more than that. There was,
Okay.
I think, about 70 to 80,000 words of content that I
Oh,
had, which means I was way above and beyond what I needed for a 200, 300 pages book.
right.
So I was very happy that day that there was some sense of satisfaction that I
Huh.
at least have the content now. Now I just need to play around with the content. So the big elephant is taken care of. Now I have to just wash the elephant. I have to get all those things done, which is fine. It's a big elephant. It will take 10, 15 days, 20 days to wash it up. Now, while I was going through that process of washing up the elephant, uh, there was a realization that as much as it's a very powerful content, but there was also, a realization that every third or fourth or 10th page is somehow telling the same thing. I'm not saying anything different, and nor are they saying anything different. So I would have picked up content of maybe 50 people, and out of those 50 people, at some point of time, somewhere they are saying the same
Same
thing
thing in different ways, but yeah.
in different ways. So I that is where I started questioning myself. And I'm a very powerful believer in visualization. I meditate every day, I visualize my future every day. So I started visualizing me becoming an author and having that credibility, and it felt good. But there was also an element of visualization in terms of feeling that I'm holding a book that people are applauding. I'm holding a book that I'm supposed to feel proud of. I'm holding a book that's going to leave a legacy, and it's going to be probably out there for years and years to come, and something that will be referred with my name even after 50 years. And I started thinking, how will it make me feel? Will I be able to feel proud of going to somebody and saying that this is my book, knowing this is not my book?
Right.
I have not written it. I am not saying what I want to say. There is nothing that I want to say that is in there which I have learned from my experiences, or there is no element of Prashant in this book. There is a sense of leadership in it, but what have I done about it? What is like, only proud thing about it is that I put in a lot of effort in copy pasting content. So that is the only thing, because it is effort. It wasn't
Yeah.
easy doing that. Okay, so I'm not saying that was an easy job to do. It takes a lot of effort to even do that. But somewhere, there was a thing that, Prashant, this is not who you are. This is not something I could visualize myself with a sense of pride where I can be like, I'm an author. I'm not an author. I'm a copy paster. So that
Prashant, you're just
stopped
being
me.
brutally honest, right? Today, oh my God.
I am, because that is the journey that I went through. And
Yeah.
again, I'm saying, is there anything wrong in doing that? No. If you can play with the content, you can curate it, and you can give it your own soul, and you can connect it in a way where it becomes yours, and you can align with that. It is amazing. It is beautiful.
But
There's
not
nothing
everyone
wrong
can
with
do
that.
that, right?
Not everyone can do that. So you need to know how to do that as well. So this is my value system. This is what I said to myself, or this is what my inner voice or my subconscious was telling me. So it does not align to anybody else, or it does not apply to anybody else, nor am I implying that it is wrong.
Right.
It is a process which somebody might know how to go forward with and how to make it their own. But I could not take that journey because I got stuck there. I did not know how to make it my own. So that is where I stopped writing. That is where I stopped working on it. There were two thoughts running in my mind. One, I cannot go beyond 10 pages. I have figured that out, so I cannot write more than 10 pages. Number two, I cannot reach out to a ghostwriter because if I'm not telling my story, if I'm not putting it out there, I don't know if I can do that. So that option was closed in my mind. And number three, I cannot curate this content. I don't have the skill to do that. And I cannot just publish it with this content because I will not be able to live with it with any sense of pride that I have written a
Yeah.
book.
So in spite of putting out 70, 80,000 words, you felt stuck and that inauthenticity like surfaced and you actually decided, okay, let me put this on hold and figure it out.
Yes,
That
that
actually
is
takes a
where.
lot of courage, Prashant, because your main goal was to become an author, and you had all that manuscript. But I really applaud you for putting all that away and working from scratch. So then, what did you do?
So then I realized that I probably should not look at becoming an author. This is not my take. I'm good at communication, I'm good at coaching, I'm good at training. So let me figure out different ways of doing it. Probably author is not what I want to do or something that I can become because I can write articles. But how do I present or how do I create 200, 300 pages? That is not going to happen. So with that thought, I accepted it, and few days passed by. Every day, there was that feeling that this is what I wanted to do, and I'm somebody who is a finisher. If I start something, I finish it, and if I don't finish it, there is something inside me that's always troubling me. Okay, and
Yeah,
I have realized, and I have a very strong belief that if there is something that is troubling you, it is troubling you because you're supposed to take some action. You're not doing something that you're supposed to do is why it constantly bothers you. It can be regarding anything. You
true.
can't just sit and let go of that trouble. You can't just meditate and let go of that trouble. Something needs to be done. It could be a conversation with yourself, it could be a conversation with someone, or it could be an action that you need to take. But there
Yeah,
is something missing. It's like that fill in the blank. The sentence is incomplete, there is a blank. It will keep bothering you until that blank is filled. You can't
correct.
just let that go.
Ignore it. Yeah,
You
yeah.
can't. The blank has to be filled. So, in a few days, I started again thinking, what is it? What is it? And the only answer I used to get was that in Prashant, you have to get into this. You can write a book. You can do it. It's just a matter of time. You have to figure out different ways. This way of writing did not work. Maybe something else will. I have had journeys in the past where I have worked on myself and lost 20 to 30 kgs of weight. I have worked on myself where I had a disability of speech and I worked hard on it and I have overcome it where it seemed impossible as per doctors. All of this was done without any external help more than just a coach. So I knew that I have done it in the past in different situations. So this is probably a third instance of doing something like that again where I am feeling stuck. I'm feeling I can't do it. I want to do it the right way. I don't want to crash diet and lose 15 kgs in a month. I want to do it right and lose it in 6 months.
Right.
So I knew, I'm coming back to the same space. It's just a different situation, a different scenario, but everything else is the same. This is something I have to do.
Yeah.
I am meant to do it. I have to do it. So I have to figure out a way. So there was again that seed which was still there in my mind, which was telling me, Prashant, you have 400 pages of content ready. Play with it, curate with it. You can make it your own. Don't bullshit yourself. Figure out a way. Now, I knew that was not the right thing to do, and I also knew that this thought will keep coming back to me. And someday, in some moment of weakness, I might choose to go with it. I might choose to take that decision, which I knew that I will regret later in my life.
Yeah.
Now, since I was in that moment of strength, the only way I could do that is to go on my laptop, to select the document, and to shift delete the document. And that is what I did.
Wow.
I went and shift deleted the
Yeah.
document in that moment of strength because it would stare at me in my moments of weakness, and at some point of time I might take it up, and I did not want to because it was a guaranteed regret in the long term. It might
Yeah.
not have been a regret in the short term, but I knew myself.
Maybe
So
later when your daughter Khushi grows up and she reads that book, she won't be feeling so proud, right?
yeah, and even if she feels proud and hugs me and says, Papa, I'm proud of you, I would be like, there's nothing to be proud of. You can be proud of me doing Control C, Control V very well. So there is nothing to be proud of. So I wouldn't feel that sense of satisfaction. I think all these elements came into my mind, and the only way to get rid of that was because I knew it took me a lot of effort to put that together, and I knew my strength was strong enough that I will not do it again. But it probably wasn't strong enough to just ignore the document sitting on my face. So I had to get rid of it because I knew I will not do it again. But somehow that need to be gone. So shift delete was done,
So
and
this
it was
happened how many months back, Prashant?
this happened. I started the process of writing in February, somewhere January, February 2019. And this instance that I'm talking about is somewhere, say, July, August last year. It
Okay.
had been 7 to 8 months in that journey where I had done my to and fro with various things. But this shift delete happened around August, July, August last year.
Okay. And then how did you figure out this new method to put out such a good book?
So I don't know how I figured it out, but I can just share what I did. I don't know if it is a
Yes, yes.
method,
Please, please. We will like
but
create it as a method, and I'm sure so many aspiring authors will benefit. That's why I'm taking a lot of notes. So whatever you're saying, I can also like teach it in my academy. So go ahead.
I'm glad if it helps people now. What I very strongly believe in leadership and in life is if you look at what I told you, if you look at my journey so far that I've shared with you, one thing that is very strong is the clarity of intention. There is a very strong clarity of intention of why I want to write a book. There is a very strong clarity of intention that I want to write a book. There is a very strong clarity of vision of where I see this taking me. So the vision is very clear of where is it going to take me.
Yeah.
The why of writing the book is very clear. And what I want to talk about, what is that I want to give to the world, what is the change that I'm looking to bring out there, what is the message that I'm looking to share, is around the world of leadership. I was very clear about that. So I was glad that I had that clarity because with all these rough patches that I shared with you, this is what kept me going. Because constantly visualizing where I want to be and how this will take me there, constantly visualizing how I can bring a difference because of this and what difference it will bring to my life was something that continuously kept pushing me. Now, since I had that clarity, I was sure that I have to write a book. So I started. So this is where in the book also I talk about that you need to shift your conversation. So now I shifted my conversation to asking myself, how do I write a book now? And the answer that I was getting is, I don't know. So the question I asked myself is, how will you know? And the answer I used to get is, you need to ask people who have done it, or you need to do some research somewhere from people who are saying, because you are not the first person who are stuck like this. This is not something unique. Go out there and check what do people do when they are stuck this way.
Yeah.
So now my Google search changed. Now
Actually,
my
this,
Google
what you're just sharing sounds very familiar to me, Prashant, because when you were coaching me, you will never give me an answer. You will only ask me these questions. So you were kind of self-coaching yourself in this process, right?
Yes, I was, and it's very critical that you do that because a lot of times you may or may not find someone. The situation may not be such that somebody else can pull you out of it because again, coaching is a skill, so you can't randomly talk to anybody. They might not know the right questions to ask. Since I knew the skill set of coaching, it still is difficult. As they say that a doctor can't diagnose himself because there is a bias, emotional bias. So you
Yeah.
will be more biased and you will not take the right decision. The decision making gets corrupted. Similarly, in this process, when you're coaching, there is an element of bias that can happen where you're not being truly objective about things. You can leave yourself very subjective because that's
True.
comfortable. So I started asking these questions, and it was easy to find out an answer saying that let me go and ask people who have written a book, not asking them, how did you write a book? I have done that before and I have found out different answers. Let me ask them if they were stuck. And when they were stuck, other than looking out for content on Google, what are the other things that they could do? And that worked for them. So without any intention or thought process of reaching out to your video or reaching out to somebody else's content, I found some content online where people said when you are stuck and you want to, when you start writing a book, and if it is your first book, especially, or if it is your first time writing a large number of words or pages, this will happen. This is very normal to happen. So that was a sense of relief that what I'm going through
You're not
is
the
what
only one.
everybody goes through. That so I
Yeah.
was right in my assumption that I'm not unique with this problem. I'm glad that assumption was proved right. That there are a lot of people who are going through this. Now I started looking at what do you do. So a very common thing that was between people writing about it, and then I also had an opportunity to look at a video of yours that
Oh,
talks about it, which
okay.
talks about giving a certain space. And I don't know if you said it or somebody else said it, but they spoke about the writing space.
Hmm.
They said give a time and space to write, which is a dedicated time and space to write.
Yeah.
What will happen once you do it for a certain period of time? Your mind, your body will start relating to that space with that activity.
Hmm.
Now, since I am an avid follower, reader, and observer of what happens in the world of conscious subconscious mind, I started believing this because it happens to everything that we do. Once we set something into a routine, it's very commonly given example that once you drive for a very long time, then after some time you don't even realize
You don't have to
that you
think.
are driven from office to space, office to home or home to office, and you don't even know when did you take 100 different turns, when did you stop at red light.
Hmm.
So why does that happen? Because your brain knows what to do in that space. Your body and brain is working in an alignment. They know what to do.
Yeah.
Similarly, that same concept applies here, and I did not think of it, but then I started putting it together. Why is it happening? That once you sit in that space, and once I
Hmm.
did it for 3 days, 4 days, 5 days, it did not work. I
Hmm.
could write 5 lines, I could write 3 lines, I could write 2 lines. I started watching some video online about it, and I didn't even realize that an hour went on with that video. I started reading an article about it, and I didn't realize that I've been reading this article for such a long time that I did not write anything. So the beauty is that the process starts teaching you a lot of things because you have to go through these challenges for you to realize how to come out of it.
Hmm.
It can't be just read in a book and then you're like, I will not face it. You'll still face it. So I did face those challenges, but what was beautiful was that with time, there was a transition that started happening, which means my writing time started increasing and my distraction time started decreasing. One
Right.
thing that I did very consciously was I kept my phone downstairs. My office is upstairs. I made sure I don't get my phone here. I
Hmm.
made sure there is nothing of interest here which can distract me unknowingly. Now, there is a distraction that we know will distract me, but you still keep it there, which is like your phone. Now, there
Hmm.
is a distraction that you're not aware of. Something might happen, something might fall. Now, you can't prepare for that. But known distractions, I decided to move away. So I kept my phone down. I made sure there is nothing here that can knowingly
Hmm.
distract me. Once I did that, Jyotsna, I can't tell you how I felt on a day when I ended up writing 3,000 words
Wow.
in a single day, and I was not counting it. But by the end of it, I just went back and started checking how much did I write, and I wrote 3,000 words in a day.
Right.
That is the day I got an evidence
Hmm.
of the fact that this process is working. It took me 10 to 15 days or 20 days maybe to reach there. There were days when I wrote 300 words, there were days I wrote 200 words, and there were 3 days I wrote nothing.
But you
But
consistently showed up.
I consistently showed up. I made sure there was a pact and commitment that I did with myself that every day from 3 o'clock in the afternoon to 7 in the evening, these 4 hours, I'm going to sit on this table, I'm going to sit on this chair, I'm going to sit here with an intention of writing. What will I write? How will I write? How much will I write? I did not know. But the days when I did not write anything, I still sat. I did not get up till 7 o'clock. Even though I did not write anything, I constantly kept thinking. Now, let me tell you what was the beauty of that process. As much as I was not writing and it seemed like I did nothing for those 4 hours, my subconscious was constantly trying to figure out what to write.
Hmm.
That is why these 5 days or 4 days of not writing anything, came out together in a burst of 3,000 words because my mind was working on it, because the
Right.
thoughts were constantly going on. And this continued for a while. There were days I wrote 200 words and I wrote nothing for 2 days. Then I wrote 500 words and nothing for 3 days.
Hmm.
Then, after a month and a half, came a time where I consistently started writing. It might be 100 words, it might be 500, it might be 2000, but that consistency in writing came in. That every day at least a line was always there that I finished. Now
Right.
that was amazing to discover, especially as a coach more than a writer. The beauty of this entire process where we are consistent at a certain activity and action with a very pure intention of why we are doing this. And once you do that, your subconscious is working on the solution which you are not aware of. And it will bring out the solution if you stay in the process long enough.
Right.
So after about 4 to 4.5 months is when I had about 20 to 25,000 words ready. And
Right.
once I did that, now I knew the process is working. It was not an effort anymore. It was smooth, it was
Natural.
seamless, it was natural. And another thing, Jyotsna, which I want to highlight again, this is what worked for me. I told you earlier, I did not know what to write. I did not know what to put together. How will I convert these 10 pages to, a 300 pages book or 200 pages book? A question that I asked myself was, what was bothering me about publishing a 300-page content that I have copy pasted but curated? It is still mine. I wanted to know what was bothering me about it. And when I started reflecting on that for a while, what was bothering me was two things. One, this content is already being told. This is
Yeah.
already being shared. So why am I resharing something that has already been shared? And number two, where am I in all this?
There is no your story there.
There is no Prashant in this. How is it my book? Is it my book just because it has my name? What is my element in it? That is when I decided that I will start writing my story because that is what is unique. That
Yeah.
is the only thing that has never been told before.
Yeah. Who else can tell about
Who
you
else
better
can
than
tell
you?
my story better than me? So I was like, Prashant, start writing it and let's see where it goes. Don't judge the process, just flow with the process. So I started from my first memory that I have of my life, which was when I was 6 years old, around 5 to 6 years old when I left Kashmir. So I started writing from that memory, and slowly and steadily, once I completed these 25,000 words of my book, I did not even realize that you know, there were moments of writing when I paused and started reflecting and started feeling a lot of pride in my own life. The write up itself was like a therapy for me. There
Yeah.
were a lot of incompletions, probably emotionally, in my life that had to be completed. Some conversations never happened, and those conversations happened because I wrote this book,
Right.
because I got to reflect on my entire journey. So there were moments where I got emotional with myself and I was like, why am I crying while I'm writing? There is nobody here. But it happened because I went through or relived certain experiences of my life, which I probably did not live enough at that point of time because I was busy doing a lot of things at that point of time. But now I had the space to actually live those experiences or probably
Right.
relive those experiences through its true emotion. So once I went through the journey, I felt more proud about myself. I probably feel more calmer as a person. I feel more confident about me as a person, me as a leader, me as a coach, and me as a parent, me as a son, me as a husband. In every role of my life, I feel much more confident and good about myself. And I also realized the elements that I can get better at, which I also got aware of it. So I am
Yeah.
on a journey to become better at all these things now. I also realized how to be a better coach, a better leader, better husband, better father, better son. So all those elements also started coming up because of this reflective process.
Yeah, what I understand from this, Prashant, is obviously authors write books so that their readers can benefit. But in the process, it is so therapeutic for the author first, right? You
Yeah,
transform
yeah,
so much.
yeah,
And if
yeah.
you had followed the only copy paste method, I'm sure you wouldn't have shed a single tear. But in this process where it's coming from within,
Yeah,
you're
yeah,
able to
yeah,
feel
yeah,
it
yeah.
more. And that is, I think, really, really fantastic.
True, Jyotsna. And look at this. When I spoke to you, or you invited me for this interview, uh, the reason you can see a level of energy or a conviction or a passion in my conversation is because of this process.
Correct.
If I had not gone through this process, I would have probably just given you the answers which sound right, which I would have manufactured or curated already, because this is not a book that I created, right?
Yeah,
So
even the
and
answers will
I
be curated.
curated. So I couldn't tell you I copy pasted, right? I had to tell you something which sounded intelligent,
Yeah,
right? So I think that is me. That is who Prashant is as a person, and that is how a lot of people out there are, of who I have met. They honestly want to share their journey. They honestly want to put things forward. They honestly want to add value. But somewhere there are also elements of shortcuts. There are also that impatience of doing it as soon as possible, that greed of reaching that center stage and that podium as soon as possible,
soon. Yeah,
which probably corrupts that whole process, where if you ask yourself, you will come out with something much better and amazing if you actually take that longer journey, and it will transform you as a person. You become somebody else after that process. That is what this journey does. You
true.
really become an author. You just don't put that tag. It's a journey of becoming it, and there is a journey of just saying that you are one. But
Yeah.
that becoming is what brings what will take it forward, and that is what will add value to you and to a lot of people. That's what I
Yeah.
feel.
Great. So I'm sure you would have felt like on top of the world after finishing the manuscript. And for me, when I saw the first announcement that you made about the book, I immediately got to know that this is not a normal leadership book, because I've seen, the covers of so many leadership books. They are very, very typical, very business-like, professional looking. But here you see you and your daughter having this such a nice time together while you are working and she's playing.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
there
yeah,
itself, you're
yeah,
creating
yeah.
how different this approach is. So could you just tell a little bit about the different leadership approach that you've taken in the book as well as in your coaching?
Sure, I will. I will. So, just one element, because you brought it up about the cover, that I would want to share.
Hmm.
Now, if you look at the cover of the book, there is me, and there is a child. You do not see the face of the child, okay? The
Yeah.
child is looking outside towards the world, and trying to make sense of it.
Hmm.
So, after you read my book completely, and then if you look at the cover, you will understand, or hopefully understand, why I chose that cover out of the different pictures that we took and that came out.
Hmm.
In my mind, this cover connected with me, even though the publisher did not write fully, or the publisher did not instantly agree to this cover saying that this is the one. They wanted more and
Because
more and more and
they
more
would have
things.
never found an author come up with this kind of an idea, right? Maybe because of that.
So yes, and that is what they shared. They said, we don't know if it is right or wrong,
Yeah.
because this is not what we have normally seen. But I told them, read the book, and after that, if you feel the same thing, then we will talk about it. And that's why they changed. After they read the book, they're like, okay, this cover is good. I think this is the best cover this book could have. And I'll tell you, my thought process was of two things. One, that child that you see there represents me and represents my daughter. If you read the book, me looking at my daughter is me looking at my childhood, and my entire journey from being at that age to the age that I am today, and what I am doing right now in these COVID times with the Bermuda and the tie on, with a laptop in my hand. So it brings you to from my childhood to my current, and then it also reflects my intention of going through this journey, because now I look at the child as my daughter, and the future that I want to
Future.
create for her, and the world outside that I want to contribute to, so that she lives in a better world. These
Hmm.
are the two elements that were in my mind, and why this cover hit me, saying that it shows both the sides of the story, one my daughter and one me. And once you read the book, you see that both sides, so you want to read the cover after that. So that
Great.
is why I wanted to put this cover. Now, coming back to your question about leadership. Now, in this book, as I started writing my story, I already knew this, but there was a deeper realization of the fact of what role my father, my mother, my leaders from my very first job, my coach who has been with me for past many years, and multiple leaders who came into my life throughout this journey have played in becoming who I am. Because Jyotsna, if you would have met me, like right now, people who see me who have probably not met me for many years, they cannot believe this is me. They
Hmm.
cannot believe this is what I can do. They cannot believe this is who I am as a person. They cannot believe this is how I speak or anything that you see, because this is not who I was for many years of my life. And they are proud, but they're also very surprised and amazed of how is this happening. And when I wrote this book, I realized that it's not just me. Yes, my strength, my elements of leadership, of personal leadership played a huge role, but a much larger role was played by the leadership skills of my father. A much larger role was played by the leadership skills of the leaders who came into my life,
Right.
who built that pillar of support around me, and I could climb on that and build that bridge or a building on it. And still am doing that. So if you have the right leaders in your life, who understand what leadership really is, who understand the responsibility of leadership, then they can create a beautiful life for the people who are reporting to them, for their team, for their employees who are working for them. And I see most of the leaders don't realize, and I'm saying that is not their intention, but there is not that awareness that your role goes beyond just getting the targets met.
Hmm.
Your role goes much beyond than just making sure that there is a resource that is sitting on a chair who is delivering a certain outcome that has been promised by him because of a certain monetary investment that we have done in that resource. That thought process needs a shift. Is that important? Yes, there's a business side to it. So it's very important for the resources to perform and give results.
But
But
that's
you
not the
also
only
need
thing.
to,
It's much
that's not the
beyond.
only thing, right? You need to understand the person behind that. Because if
Hmm.
you understand the person behind that, if you work on the person behind that resource, your results will automatically be better.
Yeah.
Because if he is in a better frame of mind, if he is in a better resourceful state, then he will be able to provide better, perform better, and not just as an individual. His
Hmm.
energy, his aura will also spread and impact the other team members and the team around you. So the entire culture of the organization gets
Absolutely.
impacted with you just working on that person. So that elements is very critical. So in the book, I say a line which I very firmly believe in, which I say that you can only be who you are, and you can only be who you believe you are.
Hmm.
If you do not believe that is who you are, then you're just faking it. You can't be that person.
Yeah.
And you can only give what you have. If you don't have these elements of understanding of this thing about people, about relationships, about the emotions, you can't bring it forward because you would have probably seen a leader who never did this. So you're doing what you were taught.
Hmm.
You are doing what you saw other leaders doing. That is what you learned. So in your mind, you don't know anything else. So you're doing your best, but that best is not the best because people are suffering.
Got
There
it.
are a lot of researches that are out there, and I talk about that in the book, which are saying that the mental health of the employees is constantly going down, and it's mostly going down because of the stress that they find at work. And
Hmm.
all this stress is unnecessarily created, it is not required. It is not because of performance. The performance will be better if the employee is de-stressed. He will
Hmm.
do better. But when you create stress thinking that that pressure will allow them to perform better or it will improve their way of functioning, it's not working that way. In a long run, it's screwing up everybody. You will lose that employee, or if you don't lose that employee, you will lose their performance, you will lose their energy, you will lose their inspiration. You just as having a zombie sitting on a chair, just doing few things,
Right.
which is not adding value to anybody.
Correct.
You
Correct.
already killed that person. You just have a machine sitting
Yeah.
there.
No, I seriously think every leader doesn't just have to be like a CEO, but people play leadership roles in everything. Even I think as a parent, we are kind of,
Yes,
playing a leadership role, right? So I
yes,
think
yes, yes.
this book is having a huge reader base. And where can people find more about you, Prashant, your coaching work, if they want to hire you as a coach and if they want to buy the book? Where would you like them to go and check it out?
So they can reach out to my website, prashanthandoo.com. You have an email address there. So you can reach out to me on that email with what your requirement is. We can
Hmm.
book a slot and have a consultation call to understand what your need is.
Right.
And for the book, please go on Amazon. That is where it is right now because the bookshelves are not helping us at this point of time in COVID. Once COVID is over, I'm sure it will come out on bookshelves as well.
Great. And what would be like your final thought for all those aspiring authors out there who are now like super inspired already by listening to your journey? What would be your like one final piece of advice?
One thing that I would like to say is be very clear about the message that you want to give, number one. Number two, be very clear about your intention of why you're looking to write the book and stay true to that intention. And number three, look at that process of writing the book in a very authentic and a genuine way as a reflective and therapeutic therapy session, because who you will become after you finish the book will be a very different person that you will be proud of for your entire life. And you might also get bitten by the bug of writing, and like me, you might already have started finishing and not finishing, probably halfway in your second book, like I am.
Nice,
So you
nice.
can't stop writing after that. That might also happen.
Fantastic, Prashant. Thank you so much for all those fantastic points and takeaways. So, thanks once again for spending your time with us, and
You're
all
welcome,
the very
Jyotsna.
best, Prashant.
Thank you so much for your time. And one last message to all the leaders out there, which I very prominently say in my book and videos, that remember that leadership is a lot like love. And like in love, it's the little things that matter the most and not the big things.
Absolutely. Thanks a lot, Prashant.
Thank you, Jyotsna. Have a good day. Bye bye.